Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Joy-Filled Universe podcast. I am your host, Lisa Ryan, and I am very excited to discuss this week's pod because we are going to explore two ideas that often seem to get lumped together, and I'm referring to the imposter syndrome and fake it till you make it. Are you familiar with these terms? Have you ever experienced them? Ever? Maybe you're not sure because maybe you're not 100% certain exactly what they are, which is perfectly acceptable responses, all of the above, because I, for one, often wondered what these two things are myself and would think, is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? If it's a good thing, how can I harness it? If it's a bad thing, how can I be aware of it and work through it? And with those thought bubbles in mind, let me ask you this question. Have you ever had the pleasure of stepping into a room or a job, a relationship, or a collaborative team environment and thought to yourself, who do I think I am showing up here? Or why in the world do I think I could do any of this? Or on a different note, have you ever found yourself pretending to be confident until one day you actually were? Well, we are going to unpack the difference between doubting your worth and stepping into your potential. And we're going to do that by starting to have a chit chat about the imposter syndrome. So, imposter syndrome, plainly put, is that sneaky little niddling inner voice that whispers things in your ears. Does it whisper in your ears? If it's your inner voice, you know what? It's just speaking out loud inside of you. And it says things like, you're not good enough. You don't belong here. Everyone is going to think that you're a big phony. Now, if you think through that, does any of that sound familiar? Because it sure does to me, more than I would like to even admit. The imposter syndrome is this psychological pattern where we have a fear of being exposed as a fraud, despite any evidence of our competence and success, like a promotion or good grades in school, an accomplished degree, or a favorable performance appraisal. And we also attribute our success to luck rather than ability, and even at times feeling unworthy of our achievements as if we've tricked people into thinking that we're capable. And get this, imposter syndrome, if you can believe it, is largely prevalent among professionals, high achievers, and those who live and work in competitive environments. So you might be asking yourself, how does imposter syndrome even show up? Well, it can actually appear in us when we are over preparing for things. Maybe we're overthinking, downplaying our successes or wins, avoiding new opportunities, or even feeling like we just don't belong. And let's be clear, imposter syndrome is not the truth. Rather, it is a misalignment between your identity and your new reality, which is kind of the silver lining, because when we are experiencing imposter syndrome, it's an indication that we are growing and expanding. So if you hear that little voice inside your head and they call you a fraud, well, one way to quiet it down very quickly would be to say, no, and thank you for the clarity around the fact that I am actually evolving. So that's a good way to turn it right around. So now let's look at fake it till you make it. This phrase alone has gotten a pretty bad rap, and I kind of get that because it sounds like we are pretending to be something that we're not. So I prefer to think of fake it till you make it as I'm rehearsing my future self, which is really what it is, because we are aligning our behavior, our energy, our mindset with the version of ourselves that exists in our desired reality or our vision. Remember that episode on visioning? Well, this is what we're doing. We're actually living into the person we are becoming. So it's kind of like saying, I may not be the subject matter expert today, but I am showing up with a curious mind and courage to speak to what I know along with what I'm learning. Or I may not feel qualified today, but I'm going to show up and project confidence and courage as I grow into the person that I'm becoming. So in essence, this is kind of a bridge between believing into knowing into becoming. So you're not lying or being inauthentic with fake it till you make it. You're actually stepping into the version of yourself that you're evolving into. That is a great concept, and it certainly doesn't sound negative. It sounds pretty positive, and then I just love anything that involves growth and expansion. So now you might be asking yourself, what's the difference between imposter syndrome and fake it till you make it? Well, imposter syndrome is an internal and perhaps limiting belief, and it is largely fear-based because it is messaging to you that you're not enough. And fake it till you make it is an external action that you take. You choose to show up with confidence, even if you're a bundle of nerves inside and feeling very unsure of yourself, but you're showing up with confidence. So if I was to do a little side-by-side comparison between the two and break it down a little bit further, imposter syndrome is rooted in fear and doubt. Fake it till you make it is rooted in belief and growth. Imposter syndrome feels like fraud. Fake it till you make it feels like expansion. Imposter syndrome, it shrinks your presence, and fake it till you make it elevates your potential. Imposter, internalized shame and guilt. Fake it is intentional practice. Imposter can hold you back with self-doubt, and fake it, it propels you forward with courage. Imposter can be internal limiting beliefs that you can rewire. We've learned that. So I need to put a little bit of a positive spin here on imposter because all these things sound pretty blech. So yeah, imposter may be internal limiting beliefs, but we can rewire those. So let's just keep that in our back pocket. And in comparison, fake it till you make it is a tool that you can apply when leaning into your future self. So imposter syndrome says, I don't belong. I'm not worthy. And fake it till you make it says, I am becoming an even better version of myself that is worthy of all great things. I am becoming an even better version of myself that is worthy of all great things. I love that. All right. And then imposter syndrome, you have that intention is just self-doubt, and fake it till you make it, the intention is really self-creation. So with all of this in mind, the creation of this podcast absolutely had imposter syndrome written all over it for me. It truly, truly did, despite the fact that I have been studying so many tools and techniques that lend themselves towards living happier, more successful, more abundant lives for years, despite the fact that I have 3 very sophisticated coaching certifications that are recognized by the International Coaching Federation. Despite the fact that I have been coaching and mentoring people for a very long time and have had lots of successful results. Despite the fact that I am an accomplished executive professional who has reinvented herself several times in her life with smashing success, might I add. And despite the fact that I have overcome real health challenges in my life to live to tell the tale from a position of perfect health. And despite the fact that I have endured some not so healthy relationships that could have literally destroyed my spirit, but guess what? They didn't. And despite the fact that I have a bachelor and master's degrees from private universities that I worked very hard to achieve, and despite the fact that all of the above are just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to incredible accomplishments in my amazing life thus far. And by the way, I just want to underscore something here really, really quick, that there is truly no shame in being proud of yourself. None of what I said above is arrogance. It is all about me really being proud of myself. And I sure hope that all of you are proud of yourselves, because you should be, because you are unique and magical gifts to this universe. And you know what? I'm actually going to make a note right now. I'm going to write this down, because we all need to take a beat every so often and have a look in the mirror and say, well done. You are truly incredible and I love you. So, you know what? That is going to be a pod for another day. Self-love, people. It's a beautiful thing. Do yourself a favor and go look in that mirror and tell yourself that you're awesome, because you are. You absolutely are. All right. So, despite all of my accomplishments, I still felt unworthy and not good enough. And I dragged my feet when it came to the podcast, because that little voice inside was relentless. However, the fake it till you make it became my saving grace, because it reminded me that I'm becoming, I'm evolving, and I'm growing, which felt so good and so empowering. And it feels so me every time I build an outline for a weekly episode. And as for the imposter syndrome, well, I channeled that fear into fuel toward my research and building outlines that made sense and aligned to life. And I also paused to reflect on all of my accomplishments, along with all of the hard work that went into each and every one of them, just so that I could be effective. And after quieting that voice inside, I gave myself some grace and said, hey, you know what, Lisa? You have to start somewhere, and you're going nowhere without taking the first step, or in this case, recording the first pod. And I also reminded myself of my dream, which is to have a podcast that people look forward to hearing, because it's filled with practical tools and techniques that can be applied immediately into your lives to become even better than you already are. And now, if you have been listening to my pods, you are probably getting the flick that I am a very optimistic human. So I definitely want to highlight how fake it till you make it and imposter syndrome can serve us in positive ways. So, you know, the self-doubt that comes with the imposter syndrome? Well, what if I told you that those feelings are probably stemming from a place that evolves from our level of caring that is so deep, because we really just want to do things exceedingly well. And it can also drive us to stay curious and push us to continuously improve. And the real trick here is not to let it paralyze us, rather reframe it so that it serves us. Now, fake it till you make it, which already does feel a bit more happier and more of a positive spin. Well, this is really like rocket fuel for progress. It can help us say yes to opportunities that we might otherwise shy away from. And psychologists call it behavioral activation, which is when we think and act confident, our brains start to believe that we are confident, which creates confident emotions. And as we have learned in a past episode, if we are feeding that thought with emotions, then it continues, which creates a very positive feedback loop. So with all of that being said, the super silver lining of these two working together is imposter syndrome can definitely keep you humble and with a curious desire to grow, while fake it till you make it gives you the courage to take action despite the doubt that could be cultivated from the imposter syndrome. So it's kind of like having that inner critic and an inner cheerleader both working in your favor as you expand and grow into the human you desire to be. So how do we transmute these little puppies into applicable tools and techniques that we can apply to our everyday lives? Well, here's how. Visual rehearsal. Stop the negative mental movie by closing your eyes and visualizing yourself succeeding in the exact scenario where you are feeling doubt. And remember, from visualization, apply all of your senses. Then speak, stand, move as if you're living into the version of you. Literally practice being the person you are becoming. And here's a little secret for you. Your brain doesn't know the difference between imagined and real practice. So let yourself be who you are already evolving into. It's really a lot of fun. Go for it. Okay, number 2, reframe the words to sound more positive. Like, instead of fake, say forming. Instead of pretending, say practicing. Remember, this is all about identity, not deception. Number 3 is create affirmations that bridge the gap. So you could say, it's safe for me to grow into new spaces, or I don't have to know everything to bring value, or confidence is a skill I'm building, or I'm stepping into my power. I love that one. Okay, number 4 is create a feedback loop. Imposter syndrome thrives in isolation, so seek out input. Ask a trusted friend, a trusted colleague, coach, mentor, whatever. Ask them, hey, what do I do well in this role that highlights my skills? Or how well did my speech land with the audience? Or if somebody compliments you, and ask them, what is it that you liked? Get their feedback, because it's always helpful. And I bet you're going to get some pretty terrific responses that underscore strengths you didn't know were so apparent to those that were on the outside looking in. So give that a go. That's actually quite fun to do. As a matter of fact, when people give you a compliment, we often just say thank you. Maybe next time, take a beat and say thank you, and what exactly stood out for you? And then let them riff, because I bet you're going to be pleasantly surprised. Now, number 5, and this is actually my favorite, celebrate the evidence. That's right. Maybe keep a proof of I belong journal or something like that. And every time you receive positive feedback, achieve something, or show up, even when it's really hard, write it down. It's a pretty fantastic way to reflect on your growth, and it will also help towards the reprogramming of your subconscious to highlight your worth and value. While those other low vibe thoughts, they're just going to melt away. So just tell them, good, bye. Okay, my friends, it is almost time to finish up our pod, and I just have to take a beat and share a really, really, really fun story with all of you. And it's a little bit off topic. Actually, it's a lot off topic, but it is totally on brand for Joy Filled Universe. And I think that you'll enjoy it. I hope you do, because it really underscores, highlights, and foot stomps just how powerful our thoughts and our words truly, truly are. So here is the story, and the reason I'm really excited about sharing it is because it just happened to me, and I'm telling you what, I will share this with anybody that will listen, because it is so cool. Okay, here's what happened. Over the weekend, I was at my boyfriend's house, and I noticed like a stone. He has a lot of stones in his driveway, and I noticed this like really bright stone that was in my wheel. And so I was like, what is that? And so I go over there and I pick it out. And I'm like, oh, phew, it's just a stone. And then I thought, that would really suck to get a flat tire. And then in my head, I'm like, I've never had a flat tire. And my gosh, what would that be like? Oh, well, at least I don't have a flat tire right now. Okay, well, that was on a Sunday. Monday, I go to work. I'm coming out of work. I get in my car, turn the key, I start to drive, and the car is like, do-do, do-do, do-do. I'm like, ooh, what is that? And then I pulled into a parking spot, and I noticed when I got out that the front driver's side tire was flat. I was like, oh my God, I did that, right? So I was like, good God, I didn't know what to do. And so I, got myself together. I started thinking all positive thoughts. I did not play the victim. I was like, this is all happening for me. I'm sure there's a million reasons why the universe is conspiring to give me a flat tire right about now. And I don't know what it is, but I know it's all good because everything always works out for me. So anyway, I got myself together. I had roadside assistance. So I knew I could have somebody come and change out my tire. My tires were fairly new, so I called the dealership and I was going to take it there to get a new tire put on. But then I noticed the time of day. I had worked a long day and I thought, you know what? I'm just going to go home. So I took an Uber home and left my car there. Well, the next day I come back and I work a full day. I call the roadside assistance people. They come down. But I just want to back up one real quick. The next day on Tuesday, when I woke up, I thought to myself, I can manifest a flat tire. That was on Sunday. I manifested a flat tire that came on Monday. And so if I can manifest a flat tire, I bet I can manifest a whole tire. I can manifest a fixed tire. And I started to envision coming around the side of my car and seeing that wheel back up, completely inflated. And I was like, that's what I'm going to keep focusing on. Anyway, I didn't have to worry about how it was going to happen. I just knew that that was my thought. That was my desire. And that's what I was putting out into the universe. Okay. So on Tuesday, the very next day, I call the roadside assistance people. The guy comes. Okay, awesome. And so he says to me, you have locking lug nuts on your wheels. Can you find the key? And so I can take the wheel off. I'm like, sure. So I go to the back where I usually kept it in this little indentation place right by the spare. And it wasn't there. And I was like, what the heck? Where could it be? And so the guy's like, well, I don't know. And so I'm like, well, I'm looking all around. And I said, it's always right here. And I'm like, I bet you when I got my wheels on, the dealership never replaced the lug key. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And so while I start this Easter egg hunt, looking all over my car for the locking lug nut or the lock to unlock the lug nuts, whatever, the guy is up there like doing something with the tire. Well, then he says to me, he goes, excuse me, miss, can you come over here? I said, sure. So I go over to the front of the car and he goes, put your hand right here. I said, I did. And he goes, do you feel that? I said, yes. And he said, it's air. He says, you know what? He says, somehow you must have had like a nail or something like that in your tire and it has fallen out. And sure enough, the hole just happens to be on the very top of the car where it's super accessible. And so he says, if you don't mind, I'm just going to patch it for you and I'll fill it with air and you should be just fine. So he proceeds to put a patch in and he fills it up with air. And I said, oh, thank you so much. I said, so is this going to get me to the dealership? He said, sure. And I said, how long will the patch last? And he says, probably for as long as you drive on your tires. And I'm like, what? And he goes, yeah. He goes, you're perfectly fine. He said, your tire is just patched now and you can drive on it. I'm like, are you kidding me? He's like, no. So all that time I would have been spending like going to the dealership, getting a new tire, driving in a loaner, having to go back and pick up my car, all that stuff. Like all of it gone, no longer something I had to do. Why? Because I manifested an inflated tire. So I manifested the flat one and then I put it in my mind saying, I'm going to have an inflated one. And the very next day, the roadside assistant guy comes and he can patch it because it was patchable because he was able to easily find the hole. I mean, it's incredible how it all just came together. I could hardly even control myself. I was like, this is amazing. This is the magic of the universe. This is the magic of when you put your desire out there, you let go of how it's going to happen, and you just have faith in knowing that everything is always working out for you, and it does. And so I just wanted to share that story because I feel like sometimes when we start to have some doubt or we start to have those little negative vibe thoughts creep into our worlds, sometimes the universe throws us a bone that really maybe tests us for a second, but then just rewards us in all magical ways so that it reminds us just how powerful we can be when it comes to creating our own reality. So I just wanted to share that story with you because it just made me feel so happy, and I'm still feeling super happy. So I hope that you guys have magical moments like that too. And if you do, perhaps send me a note and let me know. I'd love to hear about it. All right. So back to our regularly scheduled program here. Imposter syndrome and fake it till you make it are largely one and the same when it comes to growth. The doubt reminds you to stay curious and keep learning. The courage, it allows you to lean into your desires, take risks, and confidently say yes two opportunities. Together, they're like a dance. One keeps you grounded and the other helps you to soar. And the key, like so many things, is awareness. Notice when imposter syndrome is holding you back and choose to step forward anyway, even if it means pulling your future self into the present while staying grounded in intention and authenticity. Just take a deep breath and be the person you are becoming. You've got this. I absolutely believe in you. So that is a wrap, my friends. I hope you found this pod to be super helpful. And if you did, please do me a favor and rate, follow, download this episode, and even share it with a friend. These efforts all help me out and they only take a few seconds. So thank you so much if you can make the time. I really appreciate it. And on that note, I am your host, Lisa Ryan. This is the Joy-Filled Universe podcast, where we come together every week to share all the tools and tricks that are going to make your universe even more joyful than it already is. I'll see you next week. Bye.